Thank you. Great, so, we have a motion to call the meeting to order.
Motion to call the meeting to order. Second.
Perfect, thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved, Ted.
Wait, which agenda is it? Because there's one missing point from the one you,
Oh, yes.
point number 8.
Oh, yes, we need to amend the agenda. Do I have a motion to amend the agenda and add our folks from open plans and Wi-Fi?
Motion.
As old or new?
That's actually gonna be under presentation and update, so we'll go after the MCA.
Okay.
Awesome, good to go? I sent the minutes, sorry, Gretchen, thank you again for writing those up. I sent the minutes late, so let's adopt the minutes toward the end of the meeting so we can give folks time to review them if they need to during the meeting.
That was my fault. I accidentally had him hiding in the October file instead of the November.
Oh, no problem at all. We got theirs. And I know Juan is taking minutes this month. Is that correct, Juan?
I am now.
Yeah. Thank you, Juan, in advance for taking the minutes. It's good evening. And I'll look at the list to find out who's doing January before we,
I think I have January, by the way.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
Cheers. Oh, I think I have it.
You have minutes?
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Great. So, we'll move on with agency presentations and updates. And so we're gonna start with NYPD. I see Captain Rose is here.
Hey.
Yeah, hi everybody, how you doing?
Hey, Captain Rose.
Hello.
Sorry we're not there with you in person. There's just been a lot going on today. We don't have much to update on the 30th precinct front. All indicators head in the same direction. We're looking to end the year on a positive note. We do just have 2 quick announcements. Our children's holiday party that we do in coordination with the community council, and also our senior dinner that we do in coordination with the community council. Those are the next 2 upcoming Saturdays, the 13th and the 20th. Everybody's welcome to join us for that. And I know that Stumer, the 30th Precinct Community Affairs Officer, is going to send out the flyers tomorrow. We just got them finalized today. So he'll get that over to you so we can get that information out. Other than that, I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving and, wish you happy holidays if we don't speak before then. Unless anybody else has any specific questions, that's really all I got.
Awesome. Thank you, Captain Rose. What were the times on those events you mentioned?
So off the top of my head, the senior dinner is going to be from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And don't quote me on the children's party, but I believe we started at about 10 o'clock in the morning till about 3 p.m. or 4 p.m.
Awesome.
But the proper information will be on the flyers. We'll make sure to get it over to you tomorrow.
Fabulous. Awesome. We have questions from the committee. I think, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, I have an issue that I've been dealing with since the summer. The area near Riverbank Park by the river has become a dog park. The people tend to leave their dogs running around. So if you have small children, it's a very difficult thing to navigate because these people think their dogs are more important than people. So they let these dogs run around, chase the wild animals there. And I've called 311, but nothing happened. So they tell me, I talked to the rangers in the park and they tell me, just keep calling 311. So I call them, but these are people who do this, despite the fact that the rangers tell them not to do it. So I think the NYPD needs to have somebody stop by once in a while and take that into account, because even if you're running, these dogs come up to you, and I love dogs, but I also want to have, half an hour peace where I run and I'm free, It's the only time I have for myself.
But to be frank, that really goes into parks.
Yes, but I have to call the police because nobody else is gonna come because the dog is more than 10 feet away from the owner. So
I mean, the Parks Committee, because it would go to the Parks Enforcement Patrol or the Director of Parks and all that.
okay, I talked to the ranger, he told me to call 311, they direct me to the NYPD,
Yeah.
and this is the NYPD, and I'm gonna talk to them, and I'm gonna let them know how I feel.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Juan, we appreciate it. We have a good working relationship with both the state police that patrol Riverbank State Park and our Parks Enforcement Officer, our partners with the Parks Enforcement. we'll reach out to them, we'll coordinate it, and we'll get somebody over there. There's a brand new dog park that they just put on Riverside Park, so we'll direct the people to go to use that one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Rose. Any other questions for Captain Rose? Oh, looks like Ted has a question.
Yes, I was wondering if you could give any breakdown on the various robberies, et cetera, so that we can be forewarned.
The robberies you're referring to are particularly the ones that occurred in the vicinity of Riverside Park last month?
Yeah,
Yeah, so there was just two incidents, really nothing to break down in terms of numbers, but we give you a little update. So we continue that investigation. Unfortunately, we have not made any arrests yet. We do move closer as the investigation unfolds. We have very good images, which we don't normally get from an incident that occurs in the park due to the lack of camera coverage there, but we were able to track the perpetrators south and into the area by 12th Avenue. So we have images and we're just working with everybody, our investigative teams to try to make an identification and hopefully that, we'll bring some closure to that. But we haven't had any other incidents there since those two.
no automobile thefts, et cetera.
Automobile thefts is something that we struggle with overall, not necessarily just in that area in general. The last couple of meetings that we were at, I advised people that that's something that we see an uptick with, generally coinciding with the cold weather for some reason. It's something I've experienced the last 2 years that I've been here. If you have anybody that has a vehicle that parks in this area, I would advise them to reach out to our crime prevention team and get the tips and tricks on how to secure the vehicle. We did shift our deployment. We have very heavy deployment on the overnight hours, and we have seen a decrease in those types of crimes since we did that. So we're on it, we're paying attention to it, and we're doing the best that we can to prevent it.
Well, I thank you very much.
Yeah,
and,
of course.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Can I do a quick one? Captain Rose, there was an assault under the sidewalk shed on 145th off of Amsterdam. I think the victim was slashed across the face. What was that related to, or do you guys know?
Yeah, so that was, without getting too much into the investigation there, related to narcotics transaction, and that arrest was actually made today.
Oh,
great.
that's great. Yeah, I thank you for bringing that up, Chris, because I think at our November general board meeting, someone mentioned that there's ongoing issues at the location.
Fire and
Yeah. And there's like not enough lighting underneath scaffolding, et cetera.
Yeah, we're aware of it, and the quality of life team is aware of it, and we're paying close attention there. So
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
All right, any other questions for Captain Rose?
I know the district office reached out to try to get the lighting addressed there.
Great. Thank you so much, Captain Rose. Really appreciate your time.
of course,
May we wish you and yours a most merry and happy new year.
thank you very much. Is there anything else later on in the agenda that you might need the precinct for? Anything with the permits or anything?
Yeah, the Sweet Bar Lounge, they gave us feedback on. Yeah, I got feedback on Oso and Canoe. Oh, yeah, we're fine. I got the
Okay.
feedback. Yeah.
All right,
you.
thank you.
If you don't have anyone from 2-6, PSA 6. So, Lyle, you are up next. DOT.
Did you hear us now? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry about that. Evening, everyone. Well, welcome from DOT. Just have one item for you this month. Tomorrow, December 5th, DOT will be hosting an online informative session, ideally designed for people with disabilities and older adults, focused on accessibility improvements at bus stops and along bus routes. While the MTA operates buses, DOT is responsible for everything around them, from the roadway and curb to bus shelters and seating. And at this information session, you'll learn how DOT is working to make bus stops and travel more accessible. Hear about improvements to bus stops under elevated train lines. Understand how bus lanes and cameras keep buses moving safely, and learn who to contact with your bus related questions. Well, besides me, of course. We did send a flyer to youth at the district office in mid-November with the information. But it does take place tomorrow afternoon from 1 to 2:30 p.m. via Zoom. So if someone you know might be interested, please let me know, and I'll see if I can send the link over to you, to anyone that's interested. That's it for me for this month, unless there's any questions.
I think, didn't you send him an email about something, Simon?
Yes, he replied back. Thank you for the reply back on that request to do an assessment in front of Templo Biblio, I think it's called.
Mhm.
Church, it's a church on 126 in Amsterdam. So DOT Lyle followed up to try to get DOT to do an assessment there. They're looking to see if they can put a no standing zone in front of the location.
Yeah, it's currently under review with my colleagues in DOT's Borough Engineering Division. They're the folks that are in charge of all the signage you see around the borough. So when I have an update from them, I'll pass it along to you, or you should receive a letter from DOT office. But anything I find as far as information, I'll pass it along once it becomes available.
I have a question. Lyle, are you aware of a closure of exit 12 on the northbound side of the Henry Hudson Parkway?
Yeah. Yeah, we're aware of that area. Our Bridges Division is monitoring the area for the time being. But yeah, we are aware. Well, I am aware that the exit ramp for the Henry Hudson is currently closed.
Have
It
you had
will.
complaints about that?
Oh, sorry.
Have you received any complaints from that?
Not recently. I know that it was something that happened somewhat abruptly, due to the deteriorating conditions, by the off ramp. Like I said, this is an area, that's monitored, that's covered, under DOT's jurisdiction. Um, you may or may not be aware that, this is essentially also, within Amtrak's infrastructure, so, coordination has to, take place with them in order to get the ball rolling on that, which we're in the process of doing. So I don't have any new information or updates that I can provide, but I will say that the off ramp does remain closed for the time being due to these urgent or the need for urgent repairs, and it will remain closed until the repair design is completed and construction work is carried out. So when we do have an updated repair schedule, we'll definitely share that with the community board and with the public once it's finalized. But yeah, nothing to report, at least not at this meeting at this time. But as information comes in, I'll definitely pass it along to you.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. How long has it been closed?
I think since the summer, I think since July. So it's been a couple of months now. And as of now, there's no official timeline, but like I said, it's we're trying to coordinate some stuff on our end, but we'll keep you posted as information comes in.
Yeah, no rush, it's great.
Hey, Lyle, Chris, can I jump in? Lyle, Chris, I know this is
What is it?
premature and early. When does DOT start planning for summer streets?
125.
Summer streets we usually plan for starting in the springtime. But we're open to any and all suggestions if you have them all year round. So if there's something that you'd like to suggest, if you'd like to work with DOT, you can definitely reach out to me and I can put you in touch with my colleagues who coordinate the events. As you know, we've had some pretty successful ones over the years, especially in MCB9 along the Broadway corridor. And we hope to do some more of those events over the next couple of years. So I'd say stay tuned as far as information, but yeah, any suggestions or comments you can send to me now, and I can definitely pass along to my colleagues for their review.
Good. And just a quick second question regarding the closing of Convent Avenue on Sundays in the morning for Convent Avenue Baptist Church for parking. That's a pilot program. Do you have a sense of the status of the program? Will it continue?
That's a good question. I don't have information about that at this time. I've been trying to get that information on my side for the time being. It is a pilot program. I'm not sure as to the permanence of said program. But I'm digging on my side to see if I can get any answers for you. I know that we've been working with the 30th precinct, in order to kind of uh manage the area a little bit more, on Sundays, for the parishioners. But yeah, nothing new as far as any permanent updates. But I'm working on it. Hopefully I can have an answer for you guys by next meeting. But also I can do in the meantime.
Thank you, sir.
The same
Mhm.
as up Convent Avenue, at the entrance of CCNY. They have put like a barricade that people have to walk around. I mean, this is not private property. And DOT has jurisdiction over sidewalks, right? So how is that allowed?
This is Convent Avenue on what street?
And 140th, if you cannot walk unless you walk through this small little gate.
They have like a door, it's like a door now, yeah, it's like.
Yeah, and they monitor, it's very scary stuff. And if you're in a bike, then you have to like. Maneuver the, so, but that's the whole, this is not private property. Columbia is doing the same thing. And this is all public area, so why is that allowed? DOT.
Is that by City College, like that entrance around there?
We're saying 140th and Convent.
140th and Convent. If there are barricades on a city street that DOT is aware of, it would most likely be related to either open streets or some sort of event. Um, Other than that, if there are barricades that you see there, I'm trying to see if I can pull up on my side to see if I can just verify the area. I'm not aware. I can check to see if we do have anything going on in that area that might require the need for barricades, at least that we signed off on. Um, but usually, like I said, that might be an open street that might be taking place there. If there's an open street that's in general, open streets are allowed to have barricades on the streets for within the parameters of their times. Might be a play street for a school, or for some other pedestrian use.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll-
but if there's
I'm sorry to cut you off. This is
Mhm.
an ex- of the protest action
Correct.
that took place.
um,
He secured the sidewalks as well as the street on both ends of Convent, as well as the avenues, similar to what Columbia has done in terms of the walkway.
okay, yeah, and I pulled it up here. It looks like it is by the gates, by Convent. If that's the case, I don't think that's anything that DOT would have signed off on as far as anything on our sidewalks. That might be something that might be an enforcement issue in that case. But normally, yeah, DOT operates the sidewalks, manages sidewalks, pretty damaged. I'm not aware of anything, at least I'm not, as far as any DOT sign off for any additional barricades in this area. That might be something that might be worth following up with the local precinct on, if anything.
Okay.
If I do find any information about this intersection though, I'll pass it along. I'll do some digging on my side to see if there might be anything I can find out. And if I do, I'll let you know. But off the top of my head, I don't think there's anything, at least DOT related, as to why those barricades are up. But I do see them in the pictures here, at least on Google Maps. So it seems like it might be something that's been going on for a while. But like I said, I don't think anything will be signed off on. But I'll see if I can find out for you in the meantime.
Thank you. And Gretchen, I saw your hand was raised.
Put it down.
Oh, okay. Was there any other questions for Lyle?
Yes, Ted here. And Lyle knows what the question is going to be. Because I'm still wanting to find out where we stand on the parking on 120th between Riverside and Broadway. It's not satisfactory that it's okay between Broadway and Morningside, but not between Broadway and Riverside. So can we please shake the tree?
Understood. I know we've had this conversation. I think basically literally day one since I've been here, Ted. So I know it's been an ongoing issue. I will say I know that as far as new regulations and guidelines as far as angled parking, that's kind of changed our approach to angled parking recently. But it is worth, I'll reach out to my colleagues to see if anything's changed. Maybe it might be worth another conversation sometime soon. I'll see what I can do as far as shaking my tree free at 10.
Okay, and let me say that I'm available to talk and explain about this and
Okay.
give history that goes back far back beyond when you came, Lyle. And so I'm sorry to be pushy like this, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, I remember our first walkthrough way back when this was a topic of conversation. And that's going back a while at this point.
Oh,
But
yes.
yeah, but yeah, I'll see if I can get some updates from my colleagues to see if anything changed about those guidelines, and I'll be in touch, Ted, with you. No problem.
Okay,
Lyle,
I thank you.
No problem.
ADA accessibility issue, is that why the parking is not allowed there?
Yeah, so very quickly, as far as angled parking goes, at least over the past, I'd say several years, fairly recently, it seems that the guidelines for angled parking parameters has changed. Um, Basically, the angled parking that you see out on the street nowadays isn't considered ADA accessible or friendly. Any angled parking nowadays that's new would have to have some sort of disability access from the car into from the outside into the car, and angled parking nowadays, because of the amount of space, additional space you would need in order for someone to get into the car with a wheelchair, etc. Angled parking is a little bit more difficult, at least from a geometry standpoint, for DOT nowadays. So it's not something that's very much preferred. There was a preliminary design that we did have in the works for the area that Ted was mentioning until those guidelines were revamped a few years ago. So essentially, we're back to square one as far as the potential for angled parking in that area. But as I mentioned, it's something that's been kind of in that instance for the past past I'd say couple of years. So it doesn't hurt to have the conversation again, or at least reach out to my colleagues to see if there have been any changes, maybe some alternate, things that we can do in this area. Our pedestrian projects group was looking at this area a couple of years ago, at least from a pedestrian standpoint, to make it a little bit more ped friendly. So the design that we did have to keep that in mind, but now with these new ADA guidelines, that design is virtually impossible for us to do now. But like
Yeah,
you said, it doesn't hurt to have a conversation, at least to see what maybe we could do to make it more pedestrian friendly.
yeah, I appreciate that, Lyle. Thank you for following
No
up back.
problem. No problem. No problem.
Thank you so much for joining us and happy holidays.
Likewise, happy holidays to everyone there. If I don't see you before the new year, and hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. And thanks so much. Great talking to all of you.
Thank you, Lyle.
Thank you. We don't have FDNY, PSNY, or DTA on, so we'll move up next to, unfortunately, I guess they used the wrong agenda, but open plans, New York is
Can I
next.
pull back to FDNY for one sec? Can we, FDNY does not attend, as a matter of formality, from the board, can we send a letter of request to what would be the chief or commissioner requesting? So I think that would be appropriate instead of,
Yeah, we can ask.
yeah,
Yeah, I've reached out to them and they're like.
They
you know,
told us that they attend
Oral service, yeah.
borough service
Yeah.
meeting.
Can I throw in a bit of history here?
Sure.
Because this is something that both Carolyn and I were very unhappy about. Their attitude was that they came to the board meeting, not the general board meeting, but youth's meeting. And that was all that they were gonna do. And we could pound sand.
Yeah.
So anything that you want to do, I'm supporting it.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll ask, we'll formally ask.
great, awesome. Open Plans New York. So we have a presentation from Open Plans New York here and we'll give you 10 minutes for the presentation and then we'll open it up for some questions.
That's
Okay?
great.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Do you need to present anything?
I do, yeah. Can I
Okay.
do that through Zoom?
Yes, if are you on now?
are we jumping into here?
They're not
They're
here.
not here.
You wanna do the same for the MTA?
Yes, absolutely.
MTA has come before.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's just one person. It's-
I have
Maybe
never
to
seen them.
general would be.
No, I mean,
I've
just
never
curiosity.
seen them since I.
Yeah, I
joined
haven't either.
this Committee, so we need to make a point.
Yeah.
Same.
So, right, you haven't seen them
I
either?
haven't seen
But
them.
they've come to general a
Okay.
couple of times.
They come here too. I think they come like twice a year, which is
Okay.
annoying. Yeah.
I'm just saying, instead of singling out FDNY,
Play by the same rules,
you know.
they need to come, I've never met anybody.
DSNY said they're only coming every quarter, so they're all weird.
You have the Zoom link, sir?
No, I'm looking for it right now, see if I have it in my email, I don't. I can get it from your website, yeah?
Yeah, so from the
Should
calendar,
be on-
it's in the calendar.
Did they just let us know what meetings?
Well, he looks, can I ask, Lyle, can I ask you a
Yes,
quick
well,
question? Are you still there?
Mine now, MTA, yes.
Lyle is gone.
Looks
like
like
he's
he's still
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hey, Lyle, Johnny Harmon Plaza,
Mhm.
is there a design or work that's gonna take place on that, or is it being revamped?
It's a good question. I know that as far as the current status of the plaza, I'm not sure because usually when we build out the plaza, somewhere down the line, we do everything in paint more or less as a temporary measure. And somewhere down the line, the plan usually is to go back in order to fill that paint in concrete. I don't know if that's the plan for Johnny Hartman Plaza. But I can ask our public realm folks, if that would be in the cards for that plaza. And I can get back to, it's actually a good question. I've been trying to get the answer to myself. But I don't know currently, but I'll find out for you.
They just unveiled it in like what, 2021? Like they just did, yeah.
They just unveiled Audubon Plaza today. Like, May board 12.
Carl, were you able to start sharing or you're good?
Yeah, I'm gonna share it here in a second.
You might need to move up so that you're close to the mic if you don't mind.
Yeah, you bet.
They'll let us know.
Okay, cool. Second here. Portion of screen.
Thanks.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, thanks, everyone. So let's start off this topic with with sort of a provocative question. How many cars outside of your window or basically in the district do you think are stopping in the neighborhood? It's much less than you think. In fact,
I guess about a quarter.
That's a lot, yeah.
It's about 17% district-wide of vehicles that stop in, meaning 83% of traffic is just cutting through the district. And we all sort of know, I think intuitively as city dwellers, that traffic is bad, that it has all sorts of negative effects. And a 2023 data for progress poll sort of quantified that with overwhelming majorities of folks finding that pedestrian safety, childhood well-being, and independence and overall quality of life were diminished by excess traffic. So what if there was an approach that could address all of these issues? There is, and it's called a low traffic neighborhood. Now, low traffic neighborhoods are new to New York City, but they are not new to the world. And the concept, you don't have a lot of time to really, it's a concept that I think deserves a much larger conversation, but in brief, it's a way of organizing a neighborhood or a district like the Community Board 9 into areas where traffic is diverted away from residential streets and onto boundary roads that can more easily accommodate traffic, which reduces the number of vehicles on residential streets and creates enhances safety and creates a sort of a social, a welcoming social space for everyone who lives and visits there. Low traffic neighborhoods are very basic in concept and honestly in operation as well, and we'll get into that a little bit. So just looking at this very schematically, this is sort of a typical urban block. You know, you might find it in MCB9 or somewhere in Brooklyn. You know, we recognize this. There's a school over here. There's a park here. These are some one-way streets. This one goes this way. This one goes this way. And then we've got some arterials on the side. So with low traffic neighborhood treatments, what that might look like is something more like this, where instead of being able to go through on that one-way street, you have to go around. So being able to take this one all the way through, you have to go back around to these boundary roads, which again are streets that are designed to accommodate larger volumes of traffic already. Now, we all know that they can also be designed more safely. Amsterdam out here, or Broadway out here, Amsterdam, streets in the district need their own treatments. This doesn't really address that. This is just saying that those boundary roads are already higher capacity arterials for vehicles. Another great feature is that these low traffic neighborhoods do not inhibit any of the human scale movement through the neighborhood or the low traffic neighborhood. So bicycles and pedestrians have free movement in both directions on all the streets. But here's a typical sort of like simple treatment. This is a diverter. So where this street would have gone all the way through as a one-way street, now traffic is diverted from going through, so it has to turn, go back to a boundary road, same this way, but pedestrians and cyclists can move through this sort of modal filter is the sort of term of art for that. Just means that human scale modes can move through and vehicles cannot. In areas that are already sort of destinations or have sort of a key social or public sort of use to them, you can get a bit more creative with these sort of diverters, and you can create plaza blocks, you can create public space, some seating. Really, the sky's the limit, and the community can sort of decide what is best for each of these incidents. Same with the street. You can do the same with a single block. You could have some bike parking, you could have some places to sit, you could have some bioswales that help with storm water mitigation, sort of in addition to this like very simple modal filter. Now, again, brand new to New York City as a holistic treatment, although there are some elements of it that are happening already, and we'll get into that in a second. But it's been happening all over the world for at least a decade, if not more. London is the city that is probably most synonymous with LTNs at the moment. They started with a handful, I don't know the exact number of pilots about 10 years ago. And COVID really sort of, you know, they saw that these pilots during COVID were really effective in providing space for people to socialize outside when there wasn't a safe place to do that inside. So that sort of supercharged the program. And now there are about 100 low traffic neighborhoods. When we say neighborhood, we're talking about, you know, sort of like that diagram, like 6-block, different sizes, but something like that. It doesn't have to be the entire district. In fact, a district of this size would probably be broken up into several, a dozen or more. But right now, London has about 100, and they've been collecting excellent data, which we'll look at here in a second. So we know that these things are working, at least as far as London goes.
I have seen this in Barcelona.
Barcelona as well, the super blocks, exactly. And we have some pictures in here, I think, from Barcelona. Those are completely magical, I think, in my opinion, like the way that it creates these public spaces. That Barcelona is a little unique because of their the geometry of the buildings. And
They're very large scale.
Very large scale, and the chamfered corners allow for traffic to sort of like flow around them. But Barcelona is an excellent example as well. So some of the benefits, you know, with through driving redirected, the traffic volumes decrease significantly. So about almost a 50% decrease in traffic volumes on these low traffic streets. We hear this a lot, and there's often a concern, intuitive concern about, well, if you're diverting traffic from the neighborhood streets, won't the boundary roads see more traffic? And in London, that's not the case. They stay about where they were before the treatments. Actually, the number is a little bit below. It's almost 2% less, 1.5%, 2% less traffic on the boundary roads. So that's a theory, it's a phenomenon in urban planning called traffic evaporation. It basically means people make different choices when faced with different physical conditions in the built environment.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, go for it.
bumbling around when you made that point.
Yeah.
So you were saying the road where the traffic is diverted, there's less volume of traffic?
Based on the studies from London where they've implemented these at scale, there's basically the same amount of traffic, a little bit less, but 2%. So statistically, basically about the same. Counterintuitive, but I think it really, it is this phenomenon where people just faced with different conditions in the environment make different choices. So they don't drive.
So when they're driving and going this way instead of straight, you're saying, because to me, I'm thinking, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
To me, if it's making that U-turn, more traffic is going this way, so the traffic is being diverted into a different direction. You're saying, even though it's being diverted, it's gone down slightly, that's what you're saying, right?
Yes, and I think it's because more people are driving.
It's what we see with congestion pricing.
Yes.
It went down across the board, less people are driving.
Similar phenomenon. 14th Street, the 14th Street busway, which is again about a decade old, similar phenomenon. People were very concerned. In fact, there were lawsuits saying this 13th and 15th, these side streets are going to be completely inundated with traffic if you prohibit through traffic on 14th Street. It didn't happen. The people made different choices. Counterintuitive, but
Right,
but
I'm thinking.
I know. That's why smarter people than I study this stuff so that I could use their numbers. Another point is they make the neighborhood safer. Now, obviously, collisions and injuries and fatalities are down dramatically because there are just fewer vehicles. But also there's been a reduction in overall crime. And I think, I don't know the details of it, but I think it probably has to do a bit with that sort of eyes on the street, Jane Jacobs thing from the 60s where, right, you have more people out, more people taking ownership of their community because there's less traffic and it's cleaner and quieter. So it just fosters this sense of kind of belonging and welcoming.
I did have a question. You said on the previous slide, it's buried on the bottom right. It said in low traffic neighborhoods, there's a 10 to 18% reduction in crime, and I did go to your website before this.
Yeah.
And it said that the 10 to 18% was just the longer the LTN has been in place, the more crime is reduced. I was wondering if that statistic included like traffic violations and parking violations. Because obviously those would be reduced.
Yeah,
if
that's-
fewer people are driving. Does that 10 to 18% include traffic violations? Or does it not include traffic violations? If it doesn't include traffic violations, that's a much more interesting statistic to
Right.
me.
That's an excellent question. I do not know, but I can look into that. I can look
I'd be
into that.
very interested.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you brought that point up. So yeah, that 10 to 18% range, that's not like a statistical sort of like margin of error. That's as these things are in place longer. So the shorter ones, the ones that have been in place for a shorter period of time, are about 10%. But the longer ones, because more people use them, because these extra street treatments are put in, maybe there's more benches, maybe there's more social space. People are using the space, taking ownership of it, is creating this sense of belonging, this greater sense of belonging, and so you see this greater reduction in crime. It's a fascinating statistic. I'll look into that that traffic related crime piece. Very good point. Air quality obviously improves about 6 to 10%. And then this is an interesting statistic too. So active travel, I mean, this is intuitive, right? If it's safer and more pleasant to walk around and bike around, more people are going to do it. But that has a quantifiable benefit to society. They found in London that life expectancy has increased by 200 days in these neighborhoods because of attributed partly to active transportation or active mobility. And also it saves money. It saves money on the businesses and government money on sick days. It saves money on healthcare costs. So
Fewer ED visits, maybe, hospital visits.
certainly.
Not bad.
So a few more quick benefits. So we're familiar with open streets here in the city, right? This is a pandemic era thing. Some great examples of them, but they're also can be kind of clunky. They can be kind of operationally challenging. You can move these barricades, people putting tennis balls on the bottom so they don't make noise at certain hours. LTNs don't have any of that. You put in the infrastructure, could be as simple as these filters, which could be some flex posts or even signage. A lot of LTNs are enforced through camera enforcement in London. Where it's just signs and emergency vehicles can zip right through, but if you go through and you're not allowed to, you're you get a ticket mailed to you, like congestion pricing, or speed cameras, or bus lane violations, any of these things that are becoming quite common. So they're self-enforcing. That extra space, here's a picture of one of the Barcelona super blocks. Just fabulous. Yeah, I mean, after the basic treatments are in place, the sky's the limit. Like the community, the block, the neighborhood can decide how much advantage they want to take of this kind of space dividend. Less traffic means more space on the street for other activities and other users. And this is another good point. It's sort of that modal filter that we talked about, where human scale transportation can sort of move freely through the neighborhood. This is a way to scale a cycling network overnight almost, without having to create protected bike lanes on every street and remove parking and get into the sort of like complications of that process, by simply allowing bicycle traffic to move in both directions and severely limiting the amount of traffic on these streets through these very simple techniques. It can make it safe enough for a child or a less confident rider to use this infrastructure to get to school or wherever they're going. And another really important point, this is not like capital project stuff. This is like super simple, change some signage, change some signaling, and put up some diverters, and you could have a low traffic neighborhood in a couple of weeks. Now, importantly, what low traffic neighborhoods are not. So they're not pedestrianized. We're not talking about completely eliminating traffic from a street. They do not require removing parking at all. Of course, you could decide to do something different with that curb space, but to implement a low traffic neighborhood to start, you're just changing the pattern of the moving vehicles. You don't really have to consider the
You want to save the question for the end?
And they don't prohibit vehicle access at all. So every business, every residence, every building, you can still access that, delivery trucks can get there, personal vehicles, obviously emergency and, city agency vehicles. And in London, they found that, and I think this was a study from the fire department, they found that emergency, response times were not affected at all by low traffic neighborhoods, largely due to the fact that there's less traffic. So they can move more freely. Yeah, exactly. So New York City does not have a low traffic neighborhood. They have not sort of pulled these treatments together in this intentional way, but we do have these treatments all over the city, including in the district. So things like, open streets like in Paseo Park, bike boulevards, sort of slow zones, redirecting traffic. This great example from Crown Heights of this sort of like playground in the middle of the street that dates back to I think the 60s or 70s. So these treatments are already happening. Low traffic neighborhoods just kind of pull them all together with the intention of reducing the amount of traffic in a specific neighborhood or residential area. So I'll leave it there. That's a very quick overview, but it's really worth considering, I think, like sort of asking yourself the question, like, could this apply? Like, can you see something like this in the district, maybe on your block or near your kid's school or whatever it is, and think about what the next steps might be. We think pilots are great. We love trying things, especially because these are so low cost. And then people can take the tires on it, so to speak, and see how it works. So yeah, open it up for questions.
Yeah, before we open up for questions, do you have any questions, Sullivan?
For LTNs in particular? My question was more of, do you know what other cities are doing in terms of enforcement? Like when, let's say it's like during the day and, they want to ensure that regular traffic is being diverted and someone's not just trying to cut across a particular corridor because it's low traffic.
Yeah.
Are they just using the camera enforcement, like you said, or?
I think there's basically two types. There's physical, sort of self-enforcing infrastructure, so that would be diverters. People drive over flex posts, so but you could put planters or something there physically, just so exactly. So you just literally can't drive through there. Or the ones that don't have physical enforcement tend to be camera enforcement. Yeah, which has its own complications and whatever. But
So tell me a little bit more about this initiative. So are y'all like working with other community boards as well, like are focusing on specific neighborhoods, or how's it work?
Definitely. So we have one of our organizers has been going all around the city to community boards, giving this presentation, at the invitation of the community board. I happen to live in the district, so that's why I'm doing it here. I live up here, 123rd and Broadway. Yeah, with the goal of sort of like raising the consciousness of the community to the fact that this exists. We're really excited about it because it's like, wait, we can sort of like in a really relatively low cost way, we can see all sorts of benefits that sort of bypass a lot of the friction points of getting this kind of change. Arguing over parking, arguing over bike lanes. This can kind of like get to the, cut through all of that, get all of the benefits. And then we have this thing in place that we can take ownership of. Each block and, each sort of like neighborhood can take ownership of this thing and the benefits and decide how far they want to take it. So we're really excited about it and we're just, spreading the word. And hoping, I think we would love to see some pilots across the city. And I think DOT is pretty interested too, hopefully. They're already doing it in bits and pieces, so let's just pull it together.
Jordan first, and then I thank you, and then.
So this is a very specific question, but we have had issues in the past. I'm not sure whether they were brought up at this community board meeting or at the public health one. But we have this issue where sometimes semi trucks or buses, rather than go to a lot and pay for parking, will just park on our streets.
Yeah.
And I saw an illustration on your website that involved trees or boulders between parking spaces. And the idea of physically preventing semi trucks from taking up all that parking space and they are not legally allowed to be on this island, so there's also that. But physically preventing semi trucks from poisoning our air and taking up all of our parking space would be very welcome. I know you said you didn't want to mess with parking in a pilot like this. Would that be something that a low traffic neighborhood pilot would be interested in?
Yeah, like would I wanna mess with parking? I mean, I think there's a lot of value to that space.
Know that only
But you would-
6% of us actually commute by a car.
Right, like there's a lot of compelling evidence that we should sort of, think about that curb space differently.
Yeah.
But I think the key point is that you don't have to touch parking. Now, if a block had a chronic problem with that kind of long-term overnight, sort of.
Storage of crime.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
of these
storage, right.
large vehicles, then it would absolutely be an opportunity to, to address that through repurposing that curb space where they're doing that, definitely.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
One question I had was, how are blocks selected to be the blocks with, I guess, LTN,
yeah, that's sort of
that term? And then the other question was, it's not time sensitive or limited, meaning like certain times of the day, there's a slowdown and then it picks up, it's permanent in terms of the traffic going through, correct?
Yeah, that's the idea, yeah. Because that also reinforces the patterns, right? Like people will make different choices if they know that this is just the way the streets are designed.
Right.
Yeah.
But the street being
To
selected,
your first question, I think some of it is data driven, so the DOT, I think one way to kind of get to this is for the DOT to do some traffic studies. But I think it could also be as simple as, well, like where are there some schools and sort of social spaces, and sort of start there. And maybe you find that there's some that are kind of congregated within the district and, there's some logical boundary roads. So I think it's sort of a low level analysis, like it doesn't have to be super in depth of like, how is traffic moving now and where are some spaces that we think that calming would be good. And then that could be decided by, a body like this and ask a DOT to look at a pilot in this area because, it seems like it's right for this kind of treatment. Does that make sense?
I mean, it does, and so you're right, I guess.
I'm saying we don't need like super high level experts to come in and be like, well, it's gotta be here or here. It's really like more of a grassroots, like, if a couple of blocks got together and said, we really like to see this because we want, fewer vehicles and, maybe there's like the upper right here, maybe there's an area with some chronic speeding and like, evident cut through traffic, like that's, right there, that's a great place to start. I'm sure we all have those,
Yeah.
those blocks.
We'll go
Yeah.
Juan, Felipe, then, and Jordan, and we'll have to close. Go ahead, Juan.
So, yes, Convent Avenue, please look at it. It's on 125th and 152nd. If you do this, you will see that, first, do some research. We used to have a bus that used to go to Convent,
Yeah,
and we never took it off. And we lost that. This Convent Avenue remained very quiet and safe. But there are the speeders who love that area because of Google Maps. So
Yeah.
with
Right.
the advent of Google Maps, everybody knows that you can go through Convent much faster than if you go to St. Nicholas in Amsterdam. The opposite happens if you build bridges. People will use the bridges. Just like you said, if you divert traffic, people will avoid the area because they can go somewhere else.
Yeah.
People will go all the places because they can move.
Yes.
People with bikes can, so they have to go through that. And the biggest problem I have is the double parking around Convent Avenue. You have these people who don't care about anything, they just care about their car. And then you have fire trucks or ambulance that get stuck in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And if you put this
Yeah.
low density, just like in Barcelona, you have everybody in the right place all the time.
Yeah.
And one beautiful thing that they do over there is that they use the corners for parking.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that takes away all the little fighting
Yeah.
into, oh, this is my spot every day or not, but you know, you will have to reassign the blocks.
Yeah, that's a really good point about the double parking, because I think without excess traffic, you don't have this need to double park because the traffic is only where it's meant to be.
And nobody stays on Common.
Yeah.
Only the people who live there stay on Common.
Exactly.
And he has a lot of points about Common, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanna echo what you're saying, cause it's like, I've been thinking about that ever since I've been on Conway. And I just wanna point out that West 144th Street already has that. If West 144th Street that starts at Hamilton Terrace is westbound
Uh-huh.
up until Amsterdam Avenue. And then once you cross Amsterdam Avenue, the traffic is eastbound. From Riverside Drive all the way to Amsterdam Avenue.
Right.
So there's historical precedence for this being done. So this is not, I mean, you know, you're saying, yeah, in New York City, it's somewhat new. I mean, yes and no, this city has a lot of history, and this city has a lot of history of like recognizing that there are things that work better, and like,
Yeah.
it's just a matter of applying these ideas from back in the day and to today.
And I think it's a good point that there's nothing like novel about this,
No.
except that it's been pulled together in places like London and Barcelona in a way that is intentionally been done intentionally to reduce traffic.
Right.
I think that's.
So just tell me, so quick question, as a next step, what would be the next step if we were to propose something like Common Avenue?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of ways we could approach it. You could pass a resolution asking the DOT to study this and implement a pilot. Maybe be cautious with the word study, because that could be a very long process. So maybe, you know, like.
Just implement a pilot.
Yeah, exactly, implement the pilot, and you think, you know, this area would be a good area to look at. That could take the form of letter of support too, if there was, you know, that was a sort of a more strategic way to go, in your estimation.
In the last 6 years, I think we have 3 speed bumps. I've sponsored one, and they've all went through extensive studies, the closest one being 143rd.
Okay.
And City College did the other 2. So I think some of that groundwork is there, so I think it's an interesting, I say, let's give it a shot. Even if it's for weekends only or something.
Yeah, I do think I think one of the things that kind of gets to your point about doing these things like piecemeal, they're all over the city, these little treatments, but when you do a little bit here, do it for just a small period of time, you don't see the benefits. The people who live there don't see the benefits, but they're not evident. They might be there, but they're not evident. When you do these treatments all at once, intentionally, the benefits are immediate. And then people get it, and then they want more. And then the next block over wants more, and then suddenly you sort of have the momentum to do this.
I'll make my block 146.
Okay. So that's another way to do it too, like you could request a pilot in one location, and you could also sort of survey the neighborhood and see what other people think.
Yeah, I think we'll have to decide where we wanna do it from the committee and push out.
126th is Broadway, please.
I second that.
Thank you so much.
very much.
Mark, do you have another question before we close?
Just a real quick thing, there's a YouTube video linked on your site that said that in the London neighborhood that you used as an illustrative example, card spend went up by 200%.
Yes.
Can you get stats for, like, try to get an average stat, because I do think it would be a much easier sell to the rest of the community board if we could point out, like, on average, not just one example, but
Yeah.
on average, how much of a benefit it is to local business.
Yeah, I think that's, I don't know, I can look into that. I think because these treatments can exist in all types of different sort of like
Yeah.
neighborhoods, high density commercial and low density commercial, not all of them will have that kind of
Yeah.
data. And I
The
think.
commercial ones that aren't like suites.
Exactly, but I think that one did have the data because it was such a high density of commercial, but I'll look into it, yeah, it's a great point.
Awesome, so we have some work to do as a committee, but I really appreciate the time to come out and present to us.
It was my pleasure, thank you.
Thank you.
Can you share this PowerPoint with us?
Yeah, of
or-
course,
okay.
definitely.
And so we can follow up with him if we have any additional questions about him.
Absolutely. Happy to bring more information. I'll follow up on those data points that were requested, and happy to come back and talk further too.
Yeah, especially because you're in the neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely, you bet.
Awesome.
Thanks, Carl.
We are going to move forward with the action items on our agenda. We have some folks here to want to present on new applications. So first we'll go with Nico 1280 appropriated at 1280 Amsterdam Avenue. Is that Ariana Nico? No? Okay, so are y'all with Sweet Bar? Where are you? Oh, Sweet Bar. All of y'all with Sweet Bar? Okay, great. Awesome. So it looks like we have a new liquor license application, although we already approved it.
Yeah, so my understanding is that you guys came before us back in 2024, I think late 2024. And now I guess there's been such a backlog with SLA that a year has passed and you're still trying to get the permanent liquor license is my understanding. And so your hearing is coming up, I believe, middle of December is my understanding. Is that right? Or you had a temporary hearing or something?
No, we were looking to waive the 30 days for the temporary. The SLA said that they issue already the temporary permit, but they're waiting for you to waive the 30 days notice for the temporary permit.
Okay.
As a point of formality, can we ask for introductions?
Sure, of course. Yeah, so
Like who
could you just let us know are you the owner? The
No,
owner of
no.
the Sweet Bar?
I am.
Oh, okay.
Vanessa.
Can you give us your full name, Vanessa?
Vanessa Pirolo.
Okay.
Awesome.
From where?
I'm from Sweet Bar.
Sweet Bar Lounge.
They're 145th Green Amsterdam Broadway.
I just canceled them
So
on the process of the license and the permit.
Vanessa, was your name on the SLA application?
yes, it should have been
No, I thought it's like Estevez. Estevez?
Eso, it's me, I'm the one that did the finance.
She's the one that sent it in, I think.
Okay.
Okay, and I did do a lookup on Sweet Bar to see if there were any open violations on any public data sites and within the city, different city agencies, there was none. I spoke to Captain Rose about it. He's not on. He said they had no problems with it. So they brought this to our attention, right? It was after our last UST meeting, so I told them we had to wait to do this one. But our only concern really is, do you have live music at the space today? No live music.
Yeah.
Okay.
Recording it.
We're just recording music.
Yes, it's like
Okay.
music played on.
And what time do you stay open till?
So 2 in the morning?
2 in the morning, every day of the week?
No, around the part of the weekdays will be closing a little earlier, because the weekend will be 2.
Okay,
What time do you close on weekdays? On weekdays? At 10? Yes.
okay. Yeah, our biggest.
Just to note also, so you guys are in a building that's HDFC, is that correct?
Sorry?
Is that, you're still building in HDFC,
Maybe not now.
Housing Development Fund? When I looked it up, it appears to be that way. There's a sign that indicates it's an event space for rent. So this is that issue that kind of comes up with Patrick's. How does that discussion take place? Like if I understood also in the letter that there was some clarification needed, which is why it must come for an amendment, indicating there was going to be karaoke on the SLA application. I think I have to come back to the community board, because you guys need to indicate there was going to be karaoke and some other stuff, and the community board needed to kind of approve the new amended application.
Okay, so if we don't put the karaoke, then it doesn't need to be amended.
So it would be an event space though, correct? A rentable event space?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, so if that wasn't on the original application, then that's why it needs an amendment.
I don't know if I think the event space was on the original application,
It was, but not the karaoke.
and that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
I think that was what was noted.
But I mean, I don't have an issue with karaoke.
Yeah.
Is there an issue?
I think the only thing comes to whether or not there would be, have there been any issues or complaints from the residents above or in the area?
No,
Okay.
and you didn't see anything on 311 either. Yeah, you're right. It says that because the temporary retail license was amended to include karaoke. Like that was one of the reasons why I had to come back to the board, but does anyone in opposition to karaoke? I love karaoke.
Any of you online have any objection to karaoke in this space?
Yeah, who's karaoke?
No, none from me.
Okay.
Right, and also really appreciate y'all taking the time to come out here and chat with us. Yeah, and to like put faces to names and like get your contact information and everything so that if any issues do come up with any of the tenants, we know who to reach out to. Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, and just our main concern, right, as a community board is quality of life for the residents and the tenants that are in proximity to the space, right?
Correct.
So when it comes to music, live music, even karaoke, right? If a location isn't properly soundproof, it can have an impact on the tenants above you. And you know, unfortunately, there has been situations with other establishments that we've had where this becomes a problem, right?
Yeah.
And so we just want you to be mindful of that, right? And try to be considerate, especially late at night, you know. But it seems like 10 o'clock on weekdays is a fair time to close. And you said 2 AM on weekends.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right,
Great.
okay.
Awesome.
So everyone in favor?
Yeah,
All right.
motion for unanimous consent?
Okay,
Awesome.
Jordan,
Thank you.
unanimous consent, anyone want a second?
Abstain.
Abstain, okay.
He abstains for everything.
Awesome. Great.
All right,
Thank y'all so much.
I noted your abstention, Ted. All right.
Awesome. We're
Thank
just
you.
gonna go through a couple other things, so you don't have to stay, but, yeah, your application has been.
Yeah, so we will, we'll notify, Mr. SLA and just let him know,
Thank you.
and then you guys should be okay. Okay, no problem.
Alright, awesome, happy holidays, y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you again for coming in. Appreciate it.
No, a ella le gusta, mira, que no le gusta el señor que te
We have another, exactly, yeah, we have another, new application for a retail permit for new Nico,
But they're not here, right?
they're not here.
So that is,
I wonder if they got invite.
they did get invited, IQ invited them.
Okay. Alright, so we'll, move on to renewal applications.
Okay, renewal, it was just two of them, both of them had, so we're tabling Unico for next month. For renewal, we have Oso, which is on 140th in Amsterdam.
138.
Yeah.
No, you're right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, 140.
Yeah, it's 140. And so I checked, no open violations. 30th precinct has no issues with it. The same for Ken. Ken is I think it's like a Japanese
Yeah.
place, right?
It's a bar, yeah.
But no issues there too. They're on 149, between 149th and 150th in Broadway.
Yeah, pretty happy.
I've actually never been to Ken.
Seconded.
Awesome.
Any objections to unanimous consent for Oso and Canu?
Nope.
No objection.
Okay.
I need to abstain for Canu.
Okay.
Thank you.
So also is Alex Trebek's son.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, fun. Those are all the time. Oh, really nice. I'll check back son. Owns that and Lucille.
Lucille, then, Lucille's a good time.
I love Lucille.
Okay, the last one was La Botanera de Acapulco Restaurant. Let's see, 540 West 145th Street. So this was a class change. This is, they want to start selling liquor. And they were previously just selling beer and cider. That was the class change.
And it says on their application, they do live music, it says mariachi.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. I know,
but I think they've been doing that.
Yeah, this location is a bit different, because technically I would call this in the business district. It's right next to the liquor store and
Yeah.
Yes,
Starbucks.
so
So-
now Starbucks is closed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything residential above it.
Isn't the hall above it, the?
Yeah, so
the
it's
hall?
a business,
Yeah.
so I think it's kind of like the appropriate place if you're gonna make noise.
Unanimous consent?
Seconded.
Yeah, and it's such a small,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a small spot.
Any old business you wanna bring up?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I have the floor.
Yeah.
So there was a resolution that came out of this, committee, April 3rd, 2025, voted 8 in favor, 0 opposed. This was, the resolution of the 145th Street corridor, to implement, a bus lane, busway, some sort of bus, transportation enhancement for 145th Street. It made it to, the executive committee, but it didn't get passed to general board. My understanding was that, with.
Bye, thank you.
My understanding was that we wanted more, community input from the community. That, you know, quote unquote, this would be supported. I think a unanimous vote from this committee is like a pretty strong show of support. And then I want to bring this back up to the general board because, you know, we had an election here in New York City in November, and the 3 neighborhoods in our community board voted overwhelmingly for a candidate that had a platform of fast and free buses. And this resolution like clearly aligns with the fast premise of, you know, like that's 50%. So by a transitive property, if you will, I wanted to resubmit this back to the general board and, you know, and say, we've done our work, you know, the people have spoken. So this resolution deserves to see the light of day in the general board.
So I think part of it, one of the issues that came up was Common Avenue Baptist Church and what discussion. So a lot of time has gone by. What's their view on this?
Yeah, I'm not sure, and I think most people that want to take the bus, the PX19, like, I think we should listen to them. And.
Well, I understand that, but Common Avenue Baptist Church also has an ADA service that they use at the scene.
Completely compatible with that.
Did we?
It's completely compatible with that.
Yeah, so they already have an issue with parking of their ADA buses because the bus stop has shifted.
Right, this is not related to that, this is to.
So I'm gonna say that's more, they're double parking already, there's a congestion issue, so the point is not so much the bus lane. What discussion has been had with the stakeholders? My understanding is there was gonna be a discussion. Have you spoken with anyone from Common Avenue Baptist Church and the senior center?
So I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't
I
don't think the chair has either. Is the chair still?
Yeah, there was gonna be discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, so the from what I remember from that meeting, the pushback from exec board was they wanted to identify some stakeholders along that corridor that we would broach this subject to, get their input, try to get their consensus. So,
It's Common Avenue Baptist Church, it
would just be one of the.
right,
State,
well, also concerned about on 145th, besides Common Avenue.
So
Yeah, the key will be because the lane would essentially go from, I would suspect, Riverside over to St. Nicholas. That's the district. After St. Nicholas is not the district. So Common would be a significant player, and then probably City College with their shuttle buses. So that was what came out of executive committee. So the stakeholders need to kind of chime in.
Yeah.
But.
And then also broaching it with the 30th.
Right.
Just to get input from the 30th.
That's what I'm thinking.
And also, the traffic. Trying to get some.
But not for anything, I mean, I know we only control our small pie, but obviously. 19 crosses through not CB9 through CB10.
Right.
Right, so I don't know what their thoughts are as well, I'd be curious to know what CB10's thoughts.
would be,
Oh, yeah.
I thought you did some outreach to.
Yeah, they had no complaints.
Okay.
But it's very
I thought
ironic,
they would, but, go ahead.
it's very ironic that the city changes the bus stop, right? From one side to the street to the other. Park something there, you know, for how long, I don't know. Don't ask anybody anything. Then when we're trying to make sense of the street that is completed all the time, we have all these restrictions to make that happen. It's very silly, but in addition to that. I think, something has to be said about the fact that. They don't even put a place for older people to sit down to wait for the
Right.
bus,
Yeah.
but they're willing to change. The perspective of a street that is, it's a historical landmark area, you know, you don't change things unless the state approves.
Right.
So it's very disappointing that you have to go to all this struggle when other people can come and do it if they please.
Right, so here's the thing, I really don't understand why we can't get it to general board. I don't understand what the opposition is to get it to general board. It passed unanimously. There's plenty of support in the community as evidenced by the vote. You know, stakeholders can come to the general board and discuss this resolution at the general board. Why don't we do that?
Well,
Or
I'm thinking,
why don't we amend it, or why don't we
Right.
put an amendment in there and just say like that, this is why, like, why wouldn't DOT be an amendment? Yeah,
Right, yeah.
like, why wouldn't they be going
Yeah.
out to the people who do like a community,
Yeah.
whatever?
Why is that preventing this resolution from moving forward?
So this would, yeah, so it did pass through executive, so is that what you're trying to jump?
No, I'm not trying to jump anything. I'm trying to say like, why can't this be moved forward? Why is it getting stuck?
Probably because they think they won't get,
Because
it won't pass.
Yeah, so I think we just chatted about that. It was to get more feedback. It was to get feedback. This was your idea as
Correct.
presented,
Yeah.
but you didn't build a case saying I spoke with. You just came in and sort of said,
Yeah, so I
Have
think
this idea.
I think if we were to represent this to exec. You have made outreach to other community groups.
Right.
I think we still need to identify some major stakeholders along the corridor. To reach out to, just to get their input and just let them know, hey, this is something we're thinking about. Just wanna gauge how you feel about it.
Yeah, and you said the student app has been helpful with the contacts and everything, but maybe it didn't pass exec because they didn't think it would pass general board because of the timing issue. But if you put those amendments, like the language, like DOT should be in charge of this community.
Right, yeah, stakeholders,
Maybe-
yeah, well, I mean, my
maybe without
concern,
changing.
yeah, my concern is that like, it's saying like. What you're describing, Chris, is labor, right? It's work, it's time,
Yeah.
right? Like, why is it not the city agency that's doing this? Why would it fall on somebody like me? That's what I.
Yeah, essentially, that city agency destroyed that area, right? Right now, there's a parking spot taken from that area. Right outside on Convent Avenue and those brownstones. You
Right,
cannot
yeah,
walk
yeah.
through it safely. You can even see the cars that are coming, right?
Yeah.
How can they get away with that?
Yeah.
And you have to pass this resolution.
Right, that's my concern. yeah.
Well, I think it should be, I think it'd be,
Okay.
it goes there sooner.
oh, yeah, I mean, bring it.
There
back.
has been
For
some
special
spillover
assistance.
from exec too, from
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
time, April.
Right, I was gonna say.
So
time
when
has
we
passed.
first presented
Right.
this in
Yeah.
April, and I think would have also helped is if you were there.
Yeah,
And you will be, you're part of executive.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so the members of exec have changed.
right.
I think adding some new language like April suggested would help.
Okay.
And bring it
That-
forward.
And bring it forward.
Yeah, that DOT will be in charge of talking to stakeholders, that's.
So I think the resolution would be for a DOT study in conjunction with MTA. Because I assume this is MTA and DOT combined,
Correct.
and
Actually, it's just DOT. DOT can do bus lanes on their own. They don't have to.
I highly doubt that DOT just wakes up and says, I want to put in a bus lane. I would imagine MTA.
There's been.
That church,
Wait till
the
wait
time,
till-
that
It
DOT.
does happen because we,
Yeah.
they can just do
Yeah.
bus lane action.
Yeah,
If they think it helps
this
traffic
will
flow.
happen come January.
But so do we need to make a
Yeah.
motion to like push it back into exec or something or?
I mean, we can
No,
wait,
so,
we can wait.
so
it's fine.
I just
sent-
deferred it back to the committee,
Right.
asking for some
Further,
further consensus and improvements on the
the
language.
language.
So the should probably be to, was it indicated as a study, a request for a DOT study in conjunction with MTA?
No, the city agency prioritized this project, but there's no, so DOT owns the street, like they manage the paint on the street. They do not need input from MTA for this. Doesn't need to be done.
But and this came after. When we got the presentation with regards to the new corridor on 116.
Yeah. Yeah,
That was a DOT.
Can it be
MTA
done in
collaboration.
conjunction with MTA? Yes. Does it need to be? No, that's what I'm trying to, that's the finer nuance point.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be frank, I don't buy it. I mean, I understand what you're saying,
Yeah, yeah.
but unless you were high level MTA or DOT, I'm not gonna, I don't see any of these agencies working that independently.
Yeah.
But I think requesting a resolution requesting the study makes perfectly good sense, and Lyle is the guy to shepherd that forward. And I think the viability should come back from DOT/MTA.
I know that I think there's been 2 meetings. There's a task force regarding 145th Street, and the issues. I know Chair, I don't know, have you been at those task force meetings?
I have not, I mean, I know the bid, sometimes when we're at the bid meetings, we have. It's an MTA at those.
Yeah, that's what I'm
meetings, yeah,
saying,
but-
based on our bid experience, it doesn't operate the way you suggest.
Right, 'cause-
Yeah.
We do need to close this point, so what are the next steps? So is this going right?
Wait, can I just jump in real fast? Sorry, guys. I think the 125th thing is a good example, but not a good example because the bus lane is great. The enforcement, I think, is mostly the problem there. So getting the bus lane in was great. But I think, Chris, your point is well taken. I think it's also important to remember that we're about to get a new administration who has different feelings about buses and transit. And so while I feel like been running into dead ends with trying to get stuff done in the past, that shouldn't be necessarily a reason to not continue pushing forward with it. And I agree that like if we're picking up all of like, it's one thing for us to do a little bit of legwork to get something going and to talk to some people, but it's another thing for it to be, for them to expect the community board to do like a full study of a neighborhood and get buy-in from everybody just to try and ask DOT to then do their jobs, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so what are we doing next though with this resolution? Where's it going?
I can add language and I can.
Yeah,
I do it.
What I would do is I would add some language.
Yeah.
I would then come and you yourself present it, because I feel, I did it last time, I don't feel like I do it the justice that it deserves. But I also do think the exec board membership has changed. And like Gretchen and Chris have pointed out, the administration is changing and public policy.
Yeah.
And so this language is adding that we want them to do a study and that they need to.
That they need to
Engage stakeholders.
engage stakeholders, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
And then also say that we've reached out to other community boards and they're okay with this.
And is there a 145th Street task force? Or did I misunderstand that?
There was a task force, you know, the area between, I think it's right on 145th and Amsterdam, between Amsterdam and Broadway, there was like this log jam of double, triple parking. There was issues with the train there. This was something that it was transit, the 30th precinct.
Construction and all that's taking place?
Yes.
Okay.
So they were meeting to try to
Smooth it out. Okay.
address some of the issues there.
Well, then that's more confined.
Yeah.
One point is task force would be nice.
They have
145th
various-
task force.
It's kind of a mess on Broadway. I got a lot of that.
All right, any other old business?
What is it, so you're gonna present it at next week's exec?
No, I'll probably do it in January.
Okay.
Yeah, just get, yeah.
Yeah.
digital-
Because I wanna recirculate
Right.
the new whereas
Yeah, you could do it over email and.
Yeah, I know, but with the holidays, it's.
Yeah,
January makes sense,
yeah.
cause you have the holidays.
Any other old business? All right, I have two new business items. I shared the composting resolution with y'all. If y'all recall, at our November general board, we had a public member. She spoke about this city council resolution that had been, or bill that had been introduced that would make composting, you could opt into it, yeah, optional, you could opt into it. So I wrote, I, did you say that?
Oh, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, so.
Make it
craft-
optional?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you invest in infrastructure.
You know, it's terrible not to belabor the meeting. I had a discussion with somebody about this the other day. I mean, after all, they made us all, many of us buy those composting
Yeah.
bags. So to me, I thought that was moving in a direction to make it something that was mandatory.
Absolutely.
What is mandatory, they're like.
So I don't know if y'all had a chance to read the resolution. I tried to put it up, but I couldn't figure out this darn Google pad, but yeah, did anyone have any questions if when they reviewed it about the resolution?
I thought it looked really good.
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
I'm very.
Can you give the gist of what was in that resolution?
Yeah, basically, so, yeah, basically, whereas they are making it, they're trying to change it from being mandatory to repeal the mandatory requirement. And voluntary composting risks increasing illegal dumping, contamination of recyclables, etc. There has been notable, plenty of data that has shown the success of the composting program. Actually, just on November 28th, they the Department of Sanitation listed that New York has broke composting records 3 weeks in a row, setting out 6,000 pounds of food in the week of November 17th. What else? Yeah, so
So we're saying we're against it being optional, we want it to be mandatory.
Yeah,
being
oh, and it
mandatory.
decreased rats.
and
Yeah.
decrease
Well, yeah,
that.
I mean, that was the whole point,
Yeah.
right? Make it mandatory, then you're feeding the rats.
And you're feeding the rats.
Absolutely. So,
April,
yeah.
40% of our food is wasted.
That's true.
You should put that in.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The one thing I don't know, like I don't understand, and I admit that I didn't take a look at like the wording for the optional part of it. And trust me, I'm not an apologist for people, like I'm very much in favor of composting. My aunt lives in Staten Island and she said she's gotten 2 tickets from sanitation for not bringing her composting bin out. And she's like elderly. And so I could see like in more areas that are not like our board district, that could be a little bit of a problem. Like when I sort of rolled my eyes when she complained about it, and then when I heard what happened, I was like, oh, okay, I guess I can kind of get that, but I don't think that really affects our district.
But sanitation doesn't do their job either, cause I know on some blocks where people put it out, they don't pick up.
They don't bring.
Oh, I have to call.
Right.
There are a few, like, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe now, not this is cold, but in the summer it's not pleasant.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna do it, they need to also
Pick
be
up.
held accountable and pick up.
So it would be useful to have the SNY at these meetings, right?
Yeah.
It would,
Gretchen,
so-
Yeah.
They were actually here last.
yeah, they said they have, said that they're gonna come quarterly, yeah,
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, in person,
In person. She was
Um,
here last week.
yeah.
Last month.
Gretchen, I can add a clause about, making sure that we take care of our folks that maybe have issues rolling out bins, et cetera, like particular circumstances. I can add something like that. But yeah, it says.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I just wonder like what the motivation for the optional part of it is. Like, you know what I mean? Was it a reasonable thing that just then the bill was written wrong, or is it just somebody who just hates the environment and wants to be lazy?
My understanding, part of it is it's a fiscal, there's a fiscal commitment to keeping it mandatory. So for instance, in NYCHA buildings, there's no composting currently. If this continues to stay a mandatory requirement, the city will have to invest in composting infrastructure for
So the city can't meet their own demand.
Oh, well, then that gets really interesting because then it's agency versus agency, right? Because we pay, I forget the numbers off the top of my head, but the city pays a lot of money to have our trash hauled away, like per pound. I forget what it is, like, but there's like, which is why the recycling, we get paid for our recycling that gets sent to the marine transfer station. The city actually makes money off of the recycling and they pay from the trash. And so there has to be something offset by the composting for that.
Yeah,
But it could be NYCHA not wanting to invest in it for the city to make the money, right?
Yeah, the law was put forth by the Common Sense Caucus of City Council, who said that, basically, their primary argument is that the law is an unnecessary burden on residents. That's pretty much their whole thing.
But the residents already bought all of our bins.
Right.
Yes.
I'm gonna go back with Solomon on this one. You have 600,000 people in NYCHA. I think the issue is NYCHA cannot meet the requirement. So maybe some language that plays around with city agencies or where limitations exist.
Yeah. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Alright. I can update that, so I'll add the language about folks that may have issues putting out their compost bin. And I'll add about NYCHA.
But wait a second, so it isn't, sorry, let me share this, because it's in the language of the resident.
Oh, is it? Sorry, I wrote this.
Calls on the city to significantly increase outreach and education, so like,
Good.
so.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
especially for people that have a challenge with it,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Yep.
Alright, do we have a motion to adopt the resolution and put?
Yeah, motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
Seconded, awesome.
Any objections?
Oh, we lost Ted. Dejan? Correction, any objections?
No objections.
She might not be.
Any objections?
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. No objections.
Okay, great, awesome. And then the last item of new business, I was thinking, and tell me if this is crazy, but what if we move this this meeting day, this committee day, instead of Thursdays, what if it like Tuesday or Wednesday?
I would request now Wednesday.
Okay.
already have a meeting.
Right.
On Tuesday?
I think this is being on Tuesday.
Oh, wait, what about Mondays or Wednesdays?
Mondays.
wanna move it?
Thursdays are tough because, well, first of all, I feel like because exec and general board already meet on Thursday.
Correct.
So when we end up having to meet 3 Thursdays in a row. And Thursdays are always like bookended like for people that wanna go on vacation or like, I feel like I always have a work trip on Thursday nights and like. About me personally, so I just wanted to gauge like how everybody's feeling about the evening.
But that is not because you're a co-chair, but when you were not a co-chair, is that a thing?
I
It's a
would
good
say,
point,
I've
because
always
here's
hated
my
having
deal,
meetings on Thursday.
but here's my deal. I have a Tuesday and a Thursday, right? And I already set up my whole life around these meetings.
Yeah,
And I have a very busy life. I work at a school, very needy kids that I have to teach every Tuesday and Thursday. So I make
yeah.
it so that I can make it to this meeting. If you change that to me in the middle of my semester, middle of my year, then I will refuse to come.
So
yeah.
I already have
you
trouble
would be
coming to the
open to
Monday
the
meeting that I'm
next
coming to.
year.
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
Mondays,
Yeah, I'm open.
like I'm on site for work half of Mondays. Yeah. So Mondays are hard.
Okay, what days are definitely out? So Mondays and Wednesdays, Wednesday?
Mondays and Wednesdays.
No, I'm talking about
No
next year.
Oh,
Fridays.
yeah, whatever you want.
No Fridays.
Next year, I'll-
Oh, no, excuse me, no, absolutely not, absolutely not,
Fridays, no.
no,
Yeah. Fridays I quit.
but yeah, it's mainly if you.
Okay, neither you.
If you're talking, I think Wednesday could be a
Wednesday.
possibility.
No, please not Wednesday.
What about next year?
I mean,
No,
for
next year, we're talking about next.
You can
Next fall,
reconsider
next
next
fall.
fall, yeah. I do feel like Tuesdays are pretty tough, or there's so many meetings already on
I think
Tuesday.
there are Tuesday meetings. from
Tuesday and
what I'm
Thursday
doing.
are basically
Yeah,
meeting
very good.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Morning or
we have
evenings.
multiple meetings on like.
And nobody wants to meet on Friday.
No.
One
I don't
of the
know.
people who like me and it meets on Wednesday.
Okay, maybe we can look at Mondays or Tuesdays next year.
Well, Monday, the first Monday's definitely not, because you
Yeah.
have arts and culture and health and environment.
Yeah.
Meeting at the same time on that day.
Most committees only meet Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Mondays
Yeah.
and Fridays are usually.
I'm telling you, those
Yeah.
two committees meet on Monday.
Yeah,
I know,
don't
because I'm in
They
the
do,
house.
yeah, they do, yeah,
I keep having to miss health because it meets on a Monday and
yeah. Especially if it's on a holiday, well, if they move it if it's a holiday.
no, they didn't.
Then we move to the
I
next
had
Monday.
my flight was delayed coming back from Chicago because everything was delayed coming back from Chicago because of the snowstorm and I just fully missed it.
Okay. We
So
will
we're good-
revisit it.
We'll table it till next,
Yeah.
the summer.
Yeah,
Health and education on Mondays.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Alright,
It's like,
do you
can
have
we
a
adjust
motion
this?
to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
There's candy and candy canes over there, y'all, chocolates,
I
candy
think
canes.
let's think about not being low traffic. Neighborhood. That could
Thank
be a
you.
important
Thank you.
Maybe with Lyle.
Bye, guys.
Better like in Atlanta, is it dark?
Direction already.
Yeah.
So-
What?
Is it warm in Atlanta?
No, it's cold in Atlanta.
It's freezing here.
It's gonna be an Arctic